Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. In our first story, we've got a gas station employee just doing his job, keeping an eye out for potential gas thieves, when an overly confident customer rolls up with some serious main character energy. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Just trying to prevent gas theft, not check you out, Karen. So I worked at a gas station for a couple years where people driving off without paying for gas was not too uncommon. We didn't have security cameras pointed outside towards the pumps, only inside the store itself to combat any unintentional or, in really rare occasions, intentional gas theft. We had a little sheet of paper behind the counter where we would record driver information if we had the chance, including vehicle make, model, color, and license plate. We didn't have to use it too incredibly often, and usually when someone appears to start driving off, I'd record their info as soon as possible. The gas pumps themselves are a little far out, enough for my terrible vision to require binoculars to read the license plate numbers clearly. On to the reason you're here today. One evening around dusk, when I was in the store by myself, I was tending to a customer or two inside the store when someone pulled up to fill up their vehicle. Nothing out of the ordinary there. I authorized the pump and finished the transaction with the customers inside the store. Red flag number one was when I looked over at the lady at the pump, I noticed she didn't turn off her vehicle when she was filling up, which always kind of irked me from both a safety hazard and common sense point of view. She also left her headlights on and were essentially pointed right at me, making it a little difficult to actually see the person, but I kept my eye on her and went about my duties, stocking cigarettes, finishing paperwork, the usual. She finished pumping her gas, and that's when red flag number two occurred. She got into her vehicle almost immediately after placing the pump nozzle back in the holster. It's at this point I'm thinking, well, better get her info, and I grab the binoculars to get her plates. I write down her info and await her next move. She does this thing where she's in her vehicle and pulls up to one of the empty parking spots right in front with her door open and left leg hanging out, which I never really understood. Good, she's actually coming in to pay for her gas. Nothing to worry about. I place the binoculars over to the side and await her arrival. In comes this lady who looks like she just got done golfing. You know, with the polo shirt, visor hat, and loose athletic shorts. Here's the conversation. Me equals me, LC equals lady customer. Me. Good evening. LC, what are those for? Gesturing at the binoculars. Me. Oh, those are just to get vehicle information. Drive-offs are surprisingly common. LC, really? You thought I was going to steal gas? Me. Well, you never know. It happens on accident most often, so I was just taking precautions. LC, are you sure you weren't trying to check me out? Me, taken aback. No, ma'am. I promise I was just recording vehicle information. See? Holding up vehicle info sheet. LC, visibly fuming. Bullcrap. I know you were trying to check me out. Are you some kind of pervert? I'll have you know I'm the manager at store across the street, and I know your manager. I'll have you fired. Me, getting PO'd from her ridiculousness. Ma'am, I was really taking your vehicle info. I had no idea if you were going to drive off without paying or actually come inside to pay. I proceeded to finish her transaction after she very angrily swiped her credit card, which she could have done at the pump. LC, well, just know that you will not be getting away with this, and I'll make sure you won't have a job tomorrow. Cue her leaving the store, all huffy-puffy, driving away. I kind of just stood there like, WTF just happened? The next day, I told my manager, and she just started laughing because she knows that customer and how short-fused she is. Overall, it was something we joked about from then on, and LC showed up not as often anymore. She wasn't even that attractive. Edit 2. I hear a lot of people saying it would make so much more sense to have a pay-before-you-pump system or security cameras outside, and I wholeheartedly agree that would solve virtually any and all problems like this. But trust me, I personally brought it up to management on numerous occasions, and they seem to think there's nothing wrong with the current system, despite the obvious loss of profit over the people who get away with it. As a simple gas station cashier, my voice was rather minute in this scheme of things, and I never understood why they'd want to take the risk. Oh well. I'm always amazed at how wanton people are about getting others fired. Like, really? You want to potentially screw up someone's life because of how you perceived a social interaction? What a horrible person. And our second story. The HOA took over my pond. I've been living in a small, cozy house for 15 years now with a stream running right by it. I don't have a lot of space, but I do have some land, and the stream flows through it, bringing a cool breeze in the summer and a pleasant murmur in the spring. For a long time, everything was peaceful. Neighbors came and went, some built new homes, but there were no major conflicts. Recently, however, a new neighborhood sprang up next to my house with its own HOA, either a luxury development or just a gated community, but they all look, as they say, fancy and expensive. At first, I paid no attention. High fences, manicured flower beds, fine by me as long as they stayed off my property. But about 3 months ago, the HOA got a new president, a certain Karen. Energetic, bossy, used to being in charge, she decided to raise the prestige of the area and began cleaning things up, not only within their territory, but around it as well. Karen, approaching me through the gate, "Hello, you must be our neighbor. I'm Karen, the new president of the Pearl of the Stream HOA. I'd like to discuss a landscaping project near your property." Me, peeking over the fence, "Landscaping? Well, I don't mind. Everything's fine here, a garden, a stream. What are your plans?" Karen, spreading out documents, "We want our neighborhood to look uniform and prestigious. We need to straighten the stream's course, reinforce the banks with concrete, and of course install a decorative fence to prevent litter and unauthorized access." I looked carefully at her smile and realized this wasn't a friendly suggestion. It was more of a notification. "We're doing this, don't get in the way." But I still asked a clarifying question. Me, "Wait, but the stream runs through my land. I have all the documents. It's private property. On what grounds are you planning to concrete it?" Karen, still smiling like I'm a clueless child, "Look, this is in your own interest. The neighborhood will look better, your land will be worth more, and we'll ensure your safety and maintenance." Me, crossing my arms, "I don't need anyone's maintenance. I like my land the way it is. The stream is natural, kids like to run around, and I use it for irrigation. I don't want it concreted." Karen, "Well, you see, the HOA has already approved the project. The local administration has given preliminary consent. The workers will come and take care of everything. It's a done deal." I still tried to resolve it peacefully. I called the HOA office, explained that without my permission and proper legal documentation, no one could do anything on private land. Me, on the phone with the HOA accountant, "Look, I'm not against cooperation, but you can't just start pouring concrete. It's an environmental issue, and legally, the stream runs through my land." HOA accountant, "You see, this is Karen's directive. She's confident everything is legal. If you have objections, please submit them in writing." Me, "I already have, and I clearly stated that I don't consent to any construction on my property." Accountant, reluctantly, "Then you'll have to take it up directly with Karen. I can't help you." I kept trying to contact Karen by phone and writing, all to no avail. That's when I realized there would be no compromise. Karen saw my land as an extension of her fancy new neighborhood. Eventually, I got tired of arguing. One evening, after working in the garden, I went to the stream to check for fallen leaves. That's when it hit me. What if I used the power of bureaucracy, the very thing the HOA prides itself on, against them? I searched online, spoke with a lawyer I knew, and talked to a neighbor who raised fish. Turns out there are perfectly legal ways to register a stream as an agricultural resource, either for irrigation or aquaculture. Me, at a meeting with the lawyer, "Can I register the stream as a water source for agricultural use?" Lawyer, after checking some details, "In principle, yes. If the land is yours and the stream is within your property, you can file the paperwork to get it classified as an agricultural water body or aquaculture resource. It'll take time, but it'll protect you from unauthorized construction." Me, "Perfect. Let the HOA try and get permission to concrete over a fish farming stream." Lawyer, chuckling, "That's some next-level revenge, but it'll take paperwork, visiting agencies, getting permits from environmental bodies. Are you ready for that?" Me, nodding, "I am. I've had enough of these control freak antics." The next few weeks I spent buried in bureaucracy, drafting applications, collecting land data, hiring an expert to evaluate the stream, and it worked. My modest stream was officially recognized as a water body for irrigation and potential aquaculture use. To make things crystal clear, I put up signs. Private property, aquaculture area, no trespassing. They lined the edge of my land, referencing the relevant laws. The day after I installed the signs, a confused Karen showed up at my gate. Karen, pointing at the sign, "What is this nonsense? What aquaculture? We've already hired a crew. They start tomorrow." Me, walking into the yard, "Sorry, but there'll be no work here. This is now a private agricultural water resource. If you want to make changes, talk to the Ministry of Agriculture, the Environmental Agency, the Fisheries Department. You know the drill." Karen, still aggressive but clearly thrown off, "This is ridiculous. Do you know we've already signed contracts with the workers? My people can't just sit around doing nothing." Me, shrugging, "I understand, but without approval from multiple agencies and my personal consent, you have no right to do anything here. Please leave private property." Karen realized her plan was falling apart. She refused to give up, made threats, talked lawsuits, brought in inspections, but the law, as they say, was on my side. Now the HOA had to coordinate every little thing with multiple government bodies. Karen scrambled, running between offices, trying to figure out what papers she needed to modify the stream status, consulting lawyers. Karen, on the phone with her assistant, "They're saying we need new permits, but that means a full-blown aquaculture reservoir construction project. It's insane. They said it'll take at least 6 months. No one can even give an exact timeline." Assistant, "We've already spent the HOA budget on prep work. The residents are angry. No fence, no stream beautification. What do we tell them?" Karen, tired but trying to stay composed, "Tell them construction is temporarily halted due to legal formalities." Time passed. The crew the HOA hired never started work. They'd spent a lot of money with nothing to show for it. Months later, the HOA realized all their efforts were in vain. Instead of raising the prestige by concreting the stream, they were buried in red tape and financial losses. Eventually, I noticed that no one from the HOA, including Karen, came near my house anymore. My fence stood firm, signs in place, and the stream continued to flow naturally just as before. One day, returning from the store, I ran into Karen near a neighbor's property. She looked exhausted, drained of her usual fire. Karen, quietly, almost in a whisper, "Congratulations, you won." Me, smiling politely, "Thank you. I just defended my property. And you know, it's still my stream no matter what." Karen, with a hint of remorse, "Maybe I overstepped, but I just wanted to make the neighborhood better." Me, shrugging, "Sometimes it's better to consider everyone's interests instead of making unilateral decisions. If you ever want to collaborate, feel free, but not like that." Karen sighed heavily and walked away. Since then, the HOA hasn't mentioned my stream in any more of their projects. And yes, life has been a lot more peaceful. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.